This year marks the 50th anniversary of Dr. John W. Tracy's discovery that there is a direct link between our emotions and our physical well-being. This means your emotional health affects your physical health and vice versa, so it's really important to understand how you can make sure that you're doing all you can to keep yourself emotionally healthy. When we think of emotionally immature people, we often think of children or teenagers who haven't yet developed the ability to regulate their emotions. However, emotional immaturity can occur in people of any age. There are a few key signs that you may be emotionally immature. Number 1, you are unable to effectively manage their emotions and thoughts. If you find yourself constantly struggling to keep your emotions in check, it may be a sign of emotional immaturity. You may have difficulty dealing with stressors in your life and end up lashing out at those around you. This can be especially true if you were raised in a household where emotions were not allowed to be shown. This can cause you to take out your feelings on others and lash out at those around you. If this is the case, try talking it out with a close friend or counselor. Trying new things helps keep us young, and it just might help improve our relationships too. It's important to step outside of your comfort zone and try something new, even if it's incredibly scary for you. Even doing something as simple as trying a food you've never eaten before, or exploring an avenue of art that has never captured your interest before, like theater or dance, can really open up parts of yourself that were covered before. Number 2, you have not developed the necessary skills to cope with adverse situations. When you are faced with difficult circumstances, you may not have the tools you need to cope in a healthy way. This can lead to unhealthy coping mechanisms, such as turning to drugs or alcohol to numb your emotions. If you find yourself frequently relying on unhealthy coping mechanisms, it is a sign that you have not developed the emotional maturity necessary to deal with life's challenges in a healthy way. Other signs of emotional immaturity include avoiding difficult conversations or situations, struggling to control your emotions, lashing out at others when you are upset, having a hard time empathizing with others, taking things personally. If you find yourself exhibiting any of these signs, it may be beneficial to seek out counseling or therapy. A therapist can help you develop the skills you need to cope in a healthy way and make progress in your emotional maturity. Number 3, you cannot empathize with others emotionally. One of the biggest signs of emotional immaturity is a lack of empathy. If you cannot empathize with others, it means that you do not understand or share in their emotions. This can make it difficult to build relationships with others. Another sign of emotional immaturity is being unable to handle negative emotions. When you are emotionally immature, you might try to avoid feeling sad, angry, or scared. You might numb yourself with alcohol or drugs, or you might act out in destructive ways. If you want to work on becoming more emotionally mature, start by practicing empathy. Try to put yourself in other people's shoes and understand how they are feeling. It is also important to learn how to deal with negative emotions in a healthy way. This might mean talking to a therapist or counselor about your feelings. Number 4. Sometimes you do not take responsibility for your actions and consequences. One of the most common signs of emotional immaturity is a refusal to take responsibility for your actions and their consequences. If you continually blame others for your mistakes or bad luck, then it's likely that you're not yet emotionally mature enough to deal with the challenges of life. It's important to be able to accept responsibility for your actions, even when they don't turn out the way you wanted them to. Otherwise, you'll never learn from your mistakes and you'll never be able to move on from them. When you're emotionally immature, you might also find it difficult to empathize with others. You might see the world in black and white terms, and you might have trouble understanding why someone would feel differently than you do. Number 5, your maturity level is stunted in some way. There are many signs of emotional immaturity. If you find yourself constantly arguing with others, lashing out in anger, or acting impulsively without thinking things through, you may be emotionally immature. Other signs of emotional immaturity include being unable to handle criticism, being overly sensitive to feedback, and not being able to take responsibility for your actions. If you want to work on improving your emotional maturity, start by trying to be more mindful of your words and actions. Think before you speak or react, and try to see both sides of every situation. It's also important to work on being more open-minded and flexible. Don't be afraid to change your opinion if you learn new information or have a different perspective. Lastly, practice apologizing when you make a mistake. It shows that you're willing to take responsibility for your actions.